So recently I bought this Gamecube Player, and it wasn't cheap, as most people know who've bought these or looked at these online, and I figured I'd make a video determining whether or not these are actually worth buying or not. Since this Gamecube was about $50, the attachment on the bottom was about $9, which was actually kind of cheap for what I found it for, and then this here was the main expense, which was around $150 on eBay. And pretty much all this is just a disc. So it's pretty much just software for $150. And there was a couple of problems with it. The first was playing it on a flat screen TV, like one over here. It caused an incredible amount of lag, because pretty much if you don't play it on a CRT TV, it's not going to look right and it's going to lag quite a bit. I don't remember exactly why, but it's the same reason for most retro consoles, and the software in here already isn't the best, so that didn't help much either. And another problem is that when you do play it on a CRT, because the software is so terrible, like I said, it still has some lag on it. There is a couple of good things about this though. For example, you could use the ports here along with a cable like this one, which will let you use your Game Boy Advance or SP as a controller instead of having to use the GameCube controller if you don't want to. Another thing is you can play Japanese games or foreign games on this console, which you can't really play Japanese games on a North American GameCube unless you have a mod chip installed, which I don't on here. And I mean, you can only play the Game Boy games that are Japanese on here, not the actual discs, of course, unless you mod it, but that's another good thing. So you don't have to worry about modding your console if you want to play foreign Game Boy games on here. And you can also use flashcards. So if you have flashcards, they will also be compatible with the Game Boy Player, which is a really good thing if you're one of those people like me who has one. But another drawback is you cannot use cartridges like these, because these are motion control or gyro control, whatever it is. You can play them on there, but it's not going to work properly. You're going to have to physically move the console around or tilt the console for the motion controls to work the way they are supposed to. Also, Game Boy and Game Boy Color games will work on the console just fine. They will stick out a good bit, as you can see here, but they still work fine, and I believe they use the same color palettes as, well, for this I believe it uses the same color palettes the Game Boy Color would give it, and this obviously will play like normal. So with all that out of the way, let's check out how this thing actually plays, and let's look at some of the lag that come with some of these games. So first I'll show off why I bought this thing. Was to play Pokemon pretty much on the TV. And here I'll also show you that you can use the Game Boy with this cable here that's plugged into the first slot on the actual GameCube here. You can use that as a controller, and since you can access a menu on the Game Boy Player with this GameCube controller, you have to have it plugged into one of the slots. I think it's slot 4 that you have to have it plugged into, and you can just hit Z and that accesses the menu on here. And it's pretty simple. You just plug the Game Boy in, you hit power, and you don't actually need to have a cartridge in there. It's just a cable, and you can use it as a controller. This is one of the few games where there's actually no lag on it, or very little. As you can see, everything that I do, it inputs almost immediately. Doesn't seem like there's any lag here. There was lag on the flat screen when I used it, even for this game. It seems like less intense games like Pokemon or Zelda, they don't really have much lag to them. But games like Mario and Mario Kart and Metroid, there was a lot of lag there and it was almost unplayable, which I will show that off next. So to switch out games, you don't actually have to turn the console off. All you need to do is hit Z on here and then hit change game pack, hit yes. And then there's a lever on the side of the Gamecube player that you push and it shoots the game cartridge out. And then you can just put the new one in. And it should automatically start. Now this game doesn't have lag until you actually get into the levels, or at least that's what it seems like. So we'll just try level out here. And I don't know if you can see that, but there's definitely lag to where it makes it somewhat difficult to play. So this is one of the games I wouldn't recommend playing. I also had trouble with Mario Kart and Metroid Fusion, so I would probably not play those games on here. I would just stick to the handheld. And like I said earlier, you can also use Game Boy Color games and foreign games, so we'll try that one out next. And here you can still use L and R to change the, I guess, aspect ratio of the screen. And everything here works as it's supposed to. Another thing that I forgot to mention is you cannot use Game Shark on the Game Boy Player, and it doesn't even fit in. So that's another drawback to this thing, but that's not that big of a deal since not many people even have any or use them. One more pretty cool feature is that you can use this port here to plug in the link cable so you can trade or play multiplayer games with other consoles like your Game Boy or another Game Boy Player if you have two for some reason hooked up next to each other. So that'll be about it for this video. This thing isn't for everyone. Not everyone's going to enjoy using this because of the things that I talked about, like the lag and not being able to use a Game Shark, which, like I said, isn't really that big of a deal. But it's definitely a turnoff for some people. You can download a different software using a SD card, memory card reader, I believe it is, to put different software onto this thing, and it runs pretty much immaculately. I have not done that. I don't really do any mods like that, but that's definitely an option for people who want to do that. But hopefully this was somewhat informative for people who haven't bought this and were on the fence about spending the $150 to $200 to get one of these. I should point out, if you have a modded console where you could play Japanese discs on it, this here's a lot cheaper in Japanese. This is the English version, which was around $150. You can pick the Japanese one up for about $30 on eBay, which might be the better option, but if you're like me and you have a North American console, then this is the only option you have. But for me, it was worth it. I don't know about anyone else, if anyone else finds this useful. But hopefully this was informative, and thank you for watching.